Depression is often driven by faulty beliefs and assumptions about ourselves, other people, and the world more generally. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some of these common assumptions and how they contribute to feelings of hopelessness and depression. Hi everyone! This is the second video in a three-part mini-series of videos on faulty beliefs and assumptions that I've been doing. And these faulty beliefs and assumptions are things that can contribute to depression. And the reason it's important to be aware of these faulty ways of thinking and understanding the world is that much of what can cause a person to feel depressed is due to how they think. And if a person's thinking is skewed because of depressive lies that we believe, it's more likely to trigger depressive types of thoughts. But before I get into those faulty beliefs and assumptions, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute or replacement for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those things out of the way, let's start talking about faulty beliefs and assumptions. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is the second video in a three-part mini-series. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at the first video, I'd encourage you to check it out, as it helped give some context to what we're going to be talking about in today's video with regards to some context about these faulty beliefs and assumptions. Now, in that first video, I talked about faulty beliefs and assumptions about things like having to be perfect, the myth of life being fair, the belief that I must be doing something to serve other people, and the idea that anger is bad. Now, today we're going to be talking about 4 more common beliefs and assumptions that fuel depression. Now, people often have a view or perception that they must always be at 100% peak efficiency and performance. Now, this is often promoted in modern society, where you'll regularly hear things like, you always need to give 100%. But even 100% isn't enough anymore. You now need to give 110%. Things like, no days off, I'll sleep when I'm dead. If you're not going to give it your all, then there's no point in doing it. Now, while all of these types of thoughts might sound good on the surface and look good on t-shirts, holding this type of belief is just a recipe for depression. Suppose I've established some personal best. Maybe it's the fastest I've ever run a certain distance, or the best mark I've ever gotten in a course. If I hold the belief that I must always be at peak efficiency and performance, what that means is that I always have to reach or surpass that personal best. I can never have a slower running day. I can never have a lower mark in a course, as that means that I'm not functioning at 100% efficiency and performance. And if I'm not functioning at 100% efficiency and performance, I'm failing. It's a disaster. And I always have to push myself to try harder and continue to achieve more and more, which is simply not possible. So this is one of those beliefs and assumptions that's cloaked in seemingly noble and virtuous package, but it's really just a destructive and harmful, it's a destructive and harmful view to hold. Now, another common faulty belief is that it's easier to avoid life's problems than to face them directly. Now, this is commonly seen in situations where a person's also experiencing anxiety in addition to depression. Problems in and of themselves can be anxiety-provoking, given that the solution to problems is usually not readily apparent. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a problem. It would just be a series of steps I need to do that I know I need to do. It wouldn't be problematic. But since I don't know exactly what I need to do to solve the problem, it can create all sorts of anxiety and stress about doing the wrong thing or making the wrong decision. Now, this is one of those beliefs where you might instantly say, look, I know, I don't believe this. I know it's not true. But ask yourself, do you behave like this belief is true? Think back over the last few weeks or months. Have there been any problems that you put off dealing with or procrastinated to address? Have there been any challenges that you've been faced with in which you said, let me think about that a little bit more, or I'll get to it later, and you took a while to actually get back to it? The big problem with holding this belief and avoiding dealing with problems is that what tends to happen is that problems, when we don't deal with them, tend to get bigger. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed what happens with problems that you're not dealing with? Do they ever go away on their own? Do they ever just kind of resolve spontaneously with you not having to do anything about it? Now, some might, but you've probably also noticed that most problems that you don't deal with tend to mushroom and get bigger and bigger and bigger, which makes them even more challenging and even more stressful. The temptation then is to avoid dealing with the problem because now it's gotten so big and scary to even think about. But that just makes things even worse. So with this belief, it's important to pay attention to your behavior rather than just simply dismissing it as something you may not consciously believe or consciously tell yourself. The next belief is one that a lot of people struggle with. It's the notion that it is unbearable to me when life is not the way I would like it to be. It's almost as if there is a perfect, ideal life that you're striving for. And once you achieve that life, then everything will be fine. Once I get that job promotion, once I finally get into that long-term relationship I've been looking for, once I'm able to buy a house, once I'm able to lose those 15 pounds, once that loved one is feeling better, then I'll be able to relax and be happy and content. Now, while it's certainly the case that a person might feel better once they've achieved their various life goals, do you think that they can then go on to live a life of complete contentment and peace? Not really. By holding on to the assumption that life is unbearable when it's not going the way I would like it to be, I'm constantly chasing a mirage of some idealized utopian life that simply doesn't exist. Once I've accomplished all of those goals, once all of those problems have resolved, there are going to be new problems, and there are going to be new goals that arise. I'll never be satiated. I'll never be satisfied. I'll never achieve enough because underlying this belief is a view that everything in my life has to be going well in order for me to be happy. And has that ever been the case for you? Do you think it's possible for everything in life to be going well at the same time and for that to be sustainable? Life has its ups and downs. And the problem with this belief is that it promotes a myth that life can be entirely ups, which is simply not true. So the idea is to allow and expect and accept that there's going to be a certain amount of upheavals, setbacks, and disappointments in life, rather than setting up some sort of imaginary, perfect, and unrealistic view of what life has to look like in order for me to feel happy. The next belief is often associated in situations in which a person doesn't feel like they have much control in their life, or that they don't have much agency to change things in their life. It's the assumption that I need someone stronger or more capable or more powerful than myself to rely on. I can't do it myself. I'm not capable, and therefore I need someone else to help me. Now, the thing is, we can all use help at times. So the idea here isn't to say that I can accomplish everything myself without needing anyone else's help. But if I hold the belief that I always need someone else to rely on, it makes me helpless because I need someone else always around to take responsibility for me. Now think about the implications of this. If I'm in a relationship and I believe that I need my partner and have to rely on them 100%, what this means is that I can't take responsibility for any aspect of the relationship, or I might not be able to assert myself or express what I want because maybe my partner won't be happy and will leave me, and then who will take care of me? So it's important to think about how many things in your life are you truly incapable of managing? Are there things that you can do? Are there things that you have accomplished? In the relationship example, it's important to recognize that I was able to live my life and manage my life before I ever met my partner. And so what that demonstrates is that I'm capable of doing some things on my own. So those are 4 more faulty beliefs and assumptions that can fuel and drive feelings of depression. Once again, it's important to emphasize that when you're thinking about these beliefs and whether or not they apply to you, it's not so much that you have to consciously believe these assumptions to be true, but rather do you behave like these beliefs and assumptions are true. Now, I'll be following up this video with the 3rd and final video in this mini-series on faulty beliefs and assumptions that fuel depression, so I hope you'll keep an eye out for that video when I post it. So that's it for today's video. If you have any questions or comments about this, I would love to hear any thoughts or questions you might have, so please leave me some comments in the comments section down below. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every week when I post a new video. So that's it for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.